All right. Hey, this song is for the one and only Dan Whitford. And my man, this song is called Won't Leave Our Love Behind. And, I'm going to play this as if Dan's sitting right here next to me, because that's what we used to do back in the day, whether it was in the freshman dorm or we met living right across the hall with Brian Freeze on one side and Josh Jekulek on the other side, and Tim Bruno right across the hall. We were all right there. It was great. I mean, we for all of us to be living there like that, it was the right grouping of people for just these really magical, wonderful relationships. And and then when Dan and I shared an apartment our junior year, that was one of his caveats of living together. Was he's like, I said to him, I'm like, I play guitar, Dan, so it's like there's gonna be some of that going on. He's like, there better be. I need it. He goes, I'm gonna wake up and hear that, and I'm gonna make eggs while you're doing it or something like that. But I'll never forget when we made the choice to live together. We were sophomore year. It was somewhere in the spring of our sophomore year, and we were out and about, and then we somehow connected at a party that we went to at our friend's house, and it was where Beth Ann Zimmerman and Aaron O'Brien and Melissa Wilson, Rochelle, and maybe Angela lived there, and some other folks. That's who I recall being the ones who lived there. I'm sure there were more that I'm not aware of, but that's how I remember living there. And I'll never forget, I went into this place. I just sort of stumbled in there from somewhere, and there was Dan in the corner. There was all this commotion going on in there. Everybody was talking, and I just remember I saw Dan in the corner just kind of being quiet, keeping to himself, and I was like, I'm gonna go stand over by Dan and get the scene here, because Dan's always was like the safe place to be, because he was the greatest person ever. And so I went over and just kind of hung out by Dan, and we were standing there. And it was a really special moment, because as extroverted and as brilliant and bright as his personality is, and always being the life of the party, I mean, he was not in that kind of space. He was really kind of inward and contemplative at the time, and just being quiet and just kind of taking it in, whatever the case may be. And that, I can do that too, and sort of prefer to. And so we just hung out there, the two of us, just in that kind of corner of the room, just not really talking, but just kind of vibing the room and each other. And I'll never forget, he turned to me and he said, Kev, we should hang out more. He's like, we're the same. Which I thought was really cool of Dan to say, because I admired Dan a lot. He was, for the big personality he is, and just the really super kindness and just the amazing person he was. I admired him. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, this friend of mine who I think is the coolest guy ever is saying we're the same, we should hang out more. And I was like, yeah, we should do that. And then I'll never forget, I said, I have a new place to live, and I'm actually just figured it out, and I'm looking for a roommate, so we should just live together. Like, you should just come live there. He's like, yeah, okay. And then I was like, all right, I'll talk to you tomorrow or something. And then I left. And we lived together. And that's the way it was with Dan. And then, I remember that's when Tanya and I got together, was in that next year, who became my wife and mother of my kids. And, I started spending all my time with Tanya, and a lot of my friends were kind of like down on me for spending all this time with this new person and not really with them anymore. But Dan was not. Dan was all about it. The love that he was seeing, and he was encouraging, and he was just really cool. And he was really nice to Tanya, and in fact, that's how I found out about Dan's passing away, was because Tanya let me know. And then we had a moment there, the two of us talking about Dan, and it's just really drove it home. And then the Saturday after he passed away, I wrote this song for Dan and also for his family, who I went. And then his family was so kind to invite me up to play it at a celebration of life for Dan that was in Cuba, New York, about a month ago. So his brother Rod, aka Phil, was like, Kevin, you got to come up and play. Come on, man. And so I went up and I sat in with whoever the group was, those nice musician friends who I don't recall their names, but they were great. And saw Rod and Clint and Brad and everybody. And so it was a really special day, and I'm just happy to write the song for Dan and then offer it to his family. But I'm gonna play it as if Dan's sitting right here, just like it was back in the good old days. So this is for Dan. Do you remember the way we were, filled with wonder? Didn't think about the future. We were open and inside. It was good to be alive. We were young and making friends. Didn't think how it would end. Though you're gone, our story still goes on. I'll live with you in mind. I won't leave our love behind. I always thought we'd meet again. We could laugh about where we've been. We could share what we've been through. Since the life that we once knew. Lake calls my name. I know you felt the same. Think of how we lived when we both were kids. Some things went wrong. They're in every song. One thing I meant to say, you're with me all my days. Though you're gone, the story still goes on. I'll live with you in mind. I won't leave our love behind. Oh, I'll live with you in mind. I won't leave our love behind.